on this channel not very long ago.
So I wanted to go ahead and
do another video on him, and I decided I was going to do a pros and cons of black-headed caiques. And just so people know, because you have to remember when you get one of these that they are an exotic animal. They're very, very sweet and they're great. I love them. But they are an exotic animal and they are a big commitment. Yeah, you're looking at me funny. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a video about that. Okay, so I decided to film this in this way because honestly my arm was getting tired because I was sitting there holding the camera, which is not easy to do. So I decided to go ahead and do a pros and cons video of our black-headed caique, Connor. And we have had him, just a little bit of background, we have had him for about 8 months now. And in that time, he had his first hatch day. So he's slightly over, I think he's like 1 year and 2 months now. And he is a black-headed. There are also white-bellied caiques. And I have absolutely no experience with those. The only experience with birds that I had before we got Connor is that we had parakeets. Other than that, we'd only had four-legged animals. We had cats and dogs and all that. But we bought him. My husband had always wanted a parrot, and he actually wanted a macaw. But I was scared to get a macaw because we do have 3 children. And I've heard that they can be, for lack of better terminology, kind of violent. And you know, they can hurt kids, and they can do things that obviously you don't want a bird doing to your child. So we decided to go with a caique, honestly, because he's a lot smaller and he was considerably less expensive than a macaw would have been. So that's why. That's a little bit of background on it. And now I'm going to go into just some things about him, some pros and cons about him. So I'm going to be looking over at my list occasionally here. I'm doing 5 pros and 5 cons of him. So my first pro that I have is that he is very cuddly. He loves, you know, you can actually cuddle with him. And I'd never thought you could really cuddle with a bird because they're a bird. But he is very cuddly, and he will, like, he'll sit on my chest, and he'll put his head inside my shirt, and he'll just lay there, and he's very loving. He is, he's extremely loving. Two on my list of pros is that he is very, he likes to be held. Some birds, anyone who has birds knows that there are some birds that you just really can't hold. Most birds really don't like to be held. So most small birds don't like to be held. So if you want to get something that you can actually hold and, you know, do whatever, you know, you need to get a larger bird. Third thing is very funny. Like, for example, last night, when we are cooking, and that's another thing that you need to remember. And so I know this video is kind of all over the place, but when you have a bird, you have to have specific kind of cookware, because certain kinds of things will actually do severe damage to their respiratory systems. My husband was cooking dinner for the family, and Connor likes to get on his chest and literally take a bath in the steam. He is not a bird. Some caiques, most probably, really like to have like actual showers or baths. Connor does not like that. He likes to have like steam baths. So, but yeah, he'll get in the steam and he'll just bathe in the steam. So that was funny and very cute. The third thing that the fourth thing that I have on my list is they are very smart. They can learn to talk. We have not taught him to talk, and I don't really plan to, because to me, that's against something that he would do in the wild. And I mean, yeah, we keep him in the house, but I just I don't really want to teach him to talk. I just think it's better that he be a bird and talk in his own language. So, and he whistles to us though, and he does all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much as far as I go with that. The fifth thing that I have for pros is that he is very good with the family. He loves the kids. They usually don't try to pick him up. We are very careful about that because, or that they will hurt him, not the other way around. But he is very good with everybody. He loves, like I said, he loves to be held. He loves to have, his time with the family and everything. So, and he loves to be in the middle of family things. Like he likes to sit with us at dinner. I mean, he's very much part of the family. So, okay, and now we're going to move on to cons. So the first con about a bird like this is they are very expensive. Whether you get them from a breeder or a pet store, none of which really are very good ideas. If you want to get one, you should really look into adopting one, like from from some kind of a rescue or something like that, because a lot of the time pet stores are going to have gotten them from bird mills and places like that. Then the second con that I have is they have to have continued care. So like you have to continually make sure that their wings are trimmed and that their beak is trimmed. If it is not done, it's very detrimental to them, especially the beak, the feathers, and you really have to have a vet or a professional of some sort to do that because there are certain feathers on on their wings that are called blood feathers, and those directly go, they're like arteries, and if you clip the wrong one, they will die within minutes. I mean, because they have very small amounts of blood volume in their body, and so they can bleed out very, very quickly. Make sure that you are prepared for the continued care of them before you get one. Number three that I have on here is they are an exotic pet. They're not, there's not a whole lot of information out there about them. So when and if you get one, you have to make sure that like we really studied before we got this bird. This was not just a fly by night thing where we were like, oh, let's buy one. No, we did a lot of research on them. We wanted to know exactly what was needed for him. You can't just give seeds and things like that. You have to give fruits and vegetables. Make sure they get their vitamins the way they need them. They have a lot of care that they need, and so you have to make sure that you're prepared to give care that an exotic pet would need. Fourth on my list, usually they only bond with one person. They they tend to only really want to be around one member of the family. In our case, Connor, I think has bonded pretty well to me and to my husband. And he will go to either one of us. And the fifth thing on my list is they can be very bitey and territorial. And this kind of goes back to the bonding. So, just a quick story about this. My mother-in-law came to visit a couple months ago, and she's somebody that Connor is not used to. She doesn't know her, or he doesn't know her well. I think he felt like his territory was being usurped in some way. I don't know if he thought she was trying to take over in the house. Sometimes if an animal can become kind of territorial in those situations. And so anyway, he jumped onto her, literally jumped onto her, he jumped on her, bit her hard enough to draw blood. And I've never seen him do that before. But that is something to watch out for, that they can they can be mean. And they are unpredictable because they can be unpredictable because they are exotic pets. And so those are just some things that you need to watch out for. And just so, just kind of trying to give everybody a little bit of an education on it. So anyway, that's our video on, black-headed caiques, pros and cons. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.